Hi, my name is Kyuri. Welcome to your 30-minute yoga session today. Today we're going to focusing on strengthening and taking care of the lower back. So grab your mat and let's get started. We'll start in a nice comfortable seat. Find an easy cross or your legs extended, whatever that feels most comfortable. If you are really tight in the hips, if it helps to elevate your seat, sitting on a cushion or maybe a block can be very beneficial. So find that comfortable seat, whatever it looks like for you today. Place your hands on your knees. Think nice and long through your spine and take a couple of deep breaths to help set the tone. And as you finish that final breath, take a nice big inhale as you reach both arms all the way up towards the sky. Big reach. And then as you exhale, take your right hand and place it down onto the mat next to you. As you take that left arm up and overhead, as you find a nice long spine, taking it over to the right. Use your inhales to find length, and then your exhales to deepen. Allow yourself to move with 2 more breaths. One more. Gently come all the way back up to the top, reaching both arms high. And then as you exhale, plant that left hand down towards the ground. Reach long with the right, and as you exhale, take it over to the left. Use your inhales to elongate and lengthen your stance, and then your exhales to deepen. And then do that 2 more times at your own pace, at your own breath. As you finish up that last inhale, come all the way back up to the top. Reach nice and long. And then as you exhale, take that right arm back behind you, your left hand to cross the body to your right knee. Lengthen the spine as you look over your right shoulder. Take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, find that deeper twist. Use your inhales to unwind a bit, creating space for that breath. And then use your exhales to wind and twist a little bit deeper. And then do that 2 more times at your own pace of your own breath. On your next inhale, reach both arms back up high one last time. And then exhale again, right hand to left knee, left arm back behind you. Sit up again nice and tall before you look over your left shoulder. Use your inhales to find space for breath, and then your exhales to deepen the twist. And then do that again twice more at your own pace. Come back into the middle once you finish that final breath. Inhale, reaching both arms back up high. And then exhale, plant them all the way down towards the front. Walk your hands forward as you gently drop your head and just bow your torso forward. We'll take 2 breaths here. Good, and last one. Gently walk the hands back to support yourself as you come back up to your seat. And then swing your legs around or come over the knees, whichever one is more accessible, and find yourself in your tabletop position. So make sure your wrists are stacked right underneath the shoulders and the knees are stacked right underneath the hips. And then on your next inhale, you'll drop the belly, lift the tailbone, as well as your gaze as you make your chest nice and broad. And then as you exhale, push the earth away, tuck the tailbone underneath and your chin as well. Use your inhales to find cow. And then your exhales to find cow. Take your time going back and forth between those movements. Allow yourself to go at your own pace. And allow yourself to freely move forward and back, or even in circles, if that's what calls to you. Not having to stick to one movement if you'd like to be a little bit more dynamic and creative. Take about 2 more at your own pace. Good. Good. We're going to find a nice neutral spine once you've finished, giving our wrists a bit of a break. We're going to drop down onto our elbows. Try not to bring your hands together. Try to keep your hands parallel to your elbows, and then tuck your toes underneath. Instead of having your spine bent like this with your hips tilted up, think about tucking the pelvis forward as you start to pull the navel in towards the spine. Engage your core. Imagine the transverse, basically a corset wrapping around your midsection, and you're pulling everything in and up towards the spine. Once you have that, tuck the toes underneath, push back into the heels as you start to elevate the knees just a centimeter or an inch off the floor as you breathe nice and big. Strong core means strong back too. So breathe as you find the work. Good. We got 4 more breaths. Two more. Last one. And then from there, really strong, extend both of your feet all the way back into that nice low plank. Take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, relax as you drop your core all the way down. Relax those hips and untuck the toes. Take a nice big inhale as you broaden through the chest, pushing down into the elbows, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Take a big breath in, pull the belly in. And then as you exhale, allow your elbows to go nice and wide. Stack one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead on top of that. You're going to bend both knees and let them come a little bit wider. Take your feet side to side to help soften through your lower back, as well as roll out your quads. Good. This is where we're going to strengthen our lower back just a little bit by finding some low back extensions. You're going to strengthen your back as well as your glutes in this position. So when you're ready, drop your feet all the way down towards the mat, and then zip your toes together so that they maintain contact. And you have an option of just lifting the legs or lifting the upper body if you choose to as well. On your next inhale, lift what you choose. Inhale, lift. On the exhale, hold it there. Inhale, see if you could lift a little bit higher. And then on the exhale, roll it all the way back down towards the ground. Inhale again, squeeze and lift. Exhale, hold. Use that inhale to push a little bit higher. And then on the exhale, lower. Inhale again, number 3. Exhale, hold. Good. Inhale, push. And then exhale, lower. You got it. Final 2, just like that. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, push. And then exhale, let it go. You got it. One last time. Inhale, squeeze and lift. Exhale, hold. Good. Inhale, big lift. And then exhale, lower all the way back down. And then again, lift the feet, widen the knees, take the feet side to side. You can rock that out as many times as you'd like. And then whenever you're ready, roll yourself into a comfortable child's pose to help soften through your lower back. For those of us that are new to yoga, child's pose is our rest pose, so know that you can come here at any time. And what that looks like is basically taking your hands by your ribs, rolling the elbows and shoulders back, lifting yourself all the way up onto your knees. Keep the knees nice and wide as you bring the toes together to touch, and then just allow your hips to sink towards those heels. Child's pose. So know that at any time you can come here to find your break, to allow yourself to soften and slow down your breath again. Good. We'll take one more breath here. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves back up to our hands and our knees whenever we're ready. Once we make it back to our hands and knees, we're going to find our first downward facing dog. So we're going to walk our hands forward to find that low plank on our knees. If you're strong and you'd like to find that high plank instead, please do so. And then without moving the hands, just send your hips all the way up and back to find that nice downward facing dog. Once you settle, make sure your heels are disappearing behind the toes, your hips are nice and high, your legs are straight, and your fingertips are open nice and wide, and you're really pressing down into those front knuckles and fingertips. Really good. Take another big breath in and out. And then we'll take a nice big breath in as you look forward towards the hands. And then you'll exhale and take a half step, straighten that leg. And then take another half step with the left and then straighten that. And then take these small steps as you slowly start to inch yourself forward towards your hands. And eventually, you might have to come up onto your fingertips, and that's okay. But once you arrive, have your feet about hip distance apart and bend the knees a lot so you can find a nice deep forward fold to help soften through your spine. If you'd like to add in movements here, you can gently sway side to side or forward. You could also grab opposite elbows for a ragdoll. But this is where you can kind of feel good by creating some traction through your spine. Good. Once you're done with the swing and sways, we'll gently lower our hands back down towards the mat. On your next inhale, we'll flatten out the back, straighten out the legs, straightening the spine as much as we can as we roll our shoulder blades back. And then exhale again, big forward fold as you bend the knees again. On your next inhale, come all the way up to stand, reaching the arms all the way up towards the sky. Big reach, inhale. And then as you exhale, relax the hands all the way down by your hips. Really good. We'll take it nice and slow. We'll do a nice easy sun salutation before we move on to the next. So on your next inhale, sweep both arms all the way up towards the sky. Big breath in. Exhale, big forward fold as you let it all go to the ground. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, plant both hands down towards the ground. Take your time walking your feet all the way back into that plank. And then if you want to modify and lower down onto your knees, you can do so. And then just lower halfway down. Good. Press firmly into your hands as you lift up the chest and find that upward facing dog or cobra. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes and send your hips all the way back into that downward facing dog. Good. Take another big breath in. And a big breath out. And then find another big inhale as you look forward again towards the front of the mat. And then as you exhale, take another small step with your left, straighten the leg. And then a step with your right, and then straighten. And then keep making those small strides all the way up for your feet to meet your hands. Once you arrive, inhale, flat back, halfway lift, roll the shoulders back, and then exhale again, forward fold, let it all go to the ground. Inhale, come all the way up, hands up, look up as you reach. And then exhale again, bring your hands all the way down by your sides. Really good. On your next inhale, sweep the arms all the way back up. Big exhale, forward fold, let it all go. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, lengthen the spine forward, straighten those legs. And then exhale again, plant both of your hands, step both your feet back into that high plank. And then again, lower yourself down halfway. Untuck the toes, lift up the chest. Upward facing dog. And then exhale, tuck the toes, and send it all the way back into your downward facing dog. Good. On your next inhale, you're going to reach your right leg all the way up towards the sky. And then exhale, knee to your nose before you step the foot between your hands. Good. We're going to drop that back knee and walk that right foot over to the right so that the left and right legs have their own sides. Find a little bit easier to balance. Once you find that, gently come on up as you lengthen the torso up towards the sky. Good. And instead of being all the way up here, think about tucking your pelvis forward, so not booty back, so pelvis forward, and then gently sink forward into that lunge and make sure that knee is stacked over the ankle so you're not putting extra pressure on that joint. Once you find that stance, make sure your left glute is engaged. Take your right hand and reach your left arm, and then pull that arm up. Just take a nice side bend over to the right. Good. Breathe 2 breaths. Really good. Last one. Use your inhale to lengthen back up towards the sky. And then exhale, both hands down onto the inside of that leg. Good. And then use your right hand to gently push that right knee away from the body, coming into the knife edge of that right foot. Good. Gently allow that knee to come back to neutral. If you have blocks, this is a great spot for it. If you can come down to your left elbow, please do so. Otherwise, you can either stay up in hands, or if you're really flexible, come down to both elbows. Once you have that, tuck your back toes, elevate that back leg, really push back into that heel. Feel that nice big stretch happening into the front of that hip flexor, and see if you can breathe there for 5. Breaths, not seconds. 4. Head 3. 2. And last one. Good. Wherever you are, slowly come back up to hands, unless you're there already. And once your hands feel like they're really pushing down and supporting you, take that right leg, swish it all the way out to the side to meet the foot and back, and then lower yourself down to do your vinyasa. If you want to skip, you always have the option to do so. And just meet us in your downward facing dog. Good. Once we arrive, we're going to have deja vu to do it on the left side. So on your next inhale, reach the left leg high. And then exhale, step that foot forward to meet the hands. Good. The back knee is going to come down. You're going to walk the left foot over to the left so there's a little bit more space. And then you're going to inhale, come all the way back up into that low lunge. So again, bring yourself out of it so you can adjust the hips. Make sure that they're on an even plane and your pelvis isn't tilted back. It's pushed forward. Keep that as you slowly send the hips forward to find that lunge. Reach both arms high once you're there. Left hand is going to grab right wrist this time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deep side bend over to the left. Really opening up to the front of that right hip. Good. Last 2. 1 more. Use that inhale to bring both arms back up high. Exhale, both hands to the inside of that left leg. Take your left hand to gently push that left leg away from the rest of the body. Still breathing big. 1 more. Before you let that leg come back to neutral, and you come down to both elbows. Or maybe just one, maybe just your right one today. Or if you have blocks, bring them down on blocks. But wherever your stance, once you find the one that works for you, take that back foot, tuck it underneath so you can extend that back leg nice and straight, pushing back into that heel. Breathe nice and big. Should feel like a pretty intense stretch. Good. Last 2. Good. Once you finish up those final breaths, you're going to slowly come back up into your hands. Plant them firmly. Support yourself in them. And then take your left foot and send it all the way back behind you. Continue on with your vinyasa or skip it. You always have the option to come into your child's pose as well. Your practice, your pace. Take another big breath in once you arrive in your downward facing dog. Big exhale, open mouth, let it all go. Big breath in. Big exhale, open mouth, let it go. Good. Use that inhale to look forward again. And then your exhale to gently walk your feet forward and find that comfortable seat. Beautiful. Once you've found that comfortable seat, we're going to find Janu Shirshasana. So basically, we're going to just take care of one leg at a time. Let's start with our left. Left foot is nice and extended out in front of you. Your right knee is bent with the right foot resting against the inner thigh. You have the option of supporting that leg with a block or a pillow if this opening is too intense, and then flex that left foot towards your face. Once you find that, think nice and long with the spine. Take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, find that nice and generous forward fold. Once you arrive, take some big breaths to help you work into that stretch. Good. As you finish up that final breath, you're going to slowly walk yourself back up to your seat and then take your time switching sides. Right leg extends, left foot comes in as you open that knee out to the side. Support it with the block if you have done it on the other side or if you need the support. Sit up nice and tall, lengthening the spine, and then taking your time in that forward fold with your foot flexed back. Good. One more breath. And then take your time to slowly support yourself as you come back up. Remove any props if you use them. Allow your hands to support you behind you as you bring both knees to bend. Take the knees side to side, coming into 90-90s, nice and easy. If this position is too easy for you, you have the option to do it without the support of your hands. But wherever you are, just focus on the knee that's rotating inwards, since we're going to do a few more external rotations for our hips. Good. So we're going to lower ourselves all the way back down once we finish those 90-90s, and lower yourself all the way down to the ground. We'll take our times to bring both knees into our chest. Give ourselves a nice big hug to start. Maybe doing a couple rocks side to side. And then just planting our feet back onto the mat. We're going to find ourselves in a bridge. So make sure your feet are really close to your hips and the toes are pointing forward, not in or out. You'll tuck the shoulders underneath so you create a nice flat platform against the upper back. On your next inhale, you're going to push firmly into your feet and inhale, lift the hips up nice and high. Allow your knees to maintain neutral and not let them open out to the sides. Exhale, hold it there. Find that inhale and lift a little bit higher. And then on the exhale, roll it all back down towards the ground. Good. That was one. We're going to do 4 more, just like that. Inhale, squeeze and lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift a little bit higher. And then exhale, roll it all back down towards the ground. Good. Number 3, squeeze and lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, squeeze, lift. And then exhale, roll it down. Good. Final 2. Inhale, squeeze, lift. Exhale, hold. Good. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, lower. Good. Last time. Inhale, squeeze, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift again. And then exhale, roll it down. Good. We'll separate our feet nice and wide and allow our knees to come back to those 90-90s on our back. We'll do that about 3 or 4 times before transitioning to knees into your chest. So once you finish those rocks and it feels pretty good, bring your knees into your chest, give yourself that nice big hug. And we'll do one last stretch for the lower back. You're going to open up your arms out to a T, and then allow both knees to fall over to the right. Look over towards the left, keeping that left shoulder on the mat. As you finish up that final breath, use your inhale to bring both knees back to center as well as your head. And then take your time, allowing both knees to fall over, this time to your left as you look towards the right. Try to keep that right shoulder on the mat as you find your breath nice and long. Last breath here. Before you take your time, unwind, coming all the way back to center. Giving your knees one more hug into the chest, giving yourself that love. Before allowing ourselves to sit in our or lay in our shavasana. So you can take shavasana in a couple different forms. It's up to you. Traditionally, it is done on our backs. But if that is really uncomfortable for your SI joint or for your lower back, for some of us that is, you have the option of either bringing the soles of your feet together and now allowing our knees to open out nice and wide. Or you could actually do the opposite by bringing your feet nice and wide and knocking your knees in towards each other. So whichever position that you find the one that works best for your back. Feel fully supported by the earth beneath you as you take a few moments just to let go and be. As we take these final moments with our thoughts, just checking in to what came up during stillness and silence. Before you invite a nice big breath in, and then followed by a nice exhale out. Take your time wiggling through your fingers and your toes, rolling out your ankles and your wrists. If one last full body stretch does call to you this morning or evening or whenever you might be practicing, allow yourself to reach in opposite directions before you roll over to your most comfortable side in fetal position. Allow yourself one last check-in before you come back into the world. And whenever you're ready, just gently push yourself up to your comfortable seat. Placing one hand over the heart and one hand over the belly, finding gratitude for our bodies, this practice, and this space. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide yours today. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you at the next one.